Hey guys, so I wanted to kind of let you guys know what was going on, because I was filming and uploading really frequently, and then I just stopped. But if you guys saw the last video that I posted, a lot's been going on. So the court date for the restraining order came and went, and the person who filed it ended up dropping it. I went and I had a lot of evidence against her and against things that she had done. And the judge asked if she wanted to make it permanent or more like a long-term temporary thing. And she said she wanted to make it temporary, like more long-term temporary, like a month or so, and just see how things go. I don't even know what that means, but she wanted to see how things went. And the judge asked if I agreed to it, and I said no. I asked him what my options were, and so he asked her again if she wanted to make it permanent, like permanent, or if she wanted it dismissed, and she said, well, I guess we'll just dismiss it for now. So then I went and I filed the papers with the sheriff to go get my stuff from her house. And we're still waiting for that. So I've been staying with somebody else. He's very, very Googleable in certain communities. And even though part of me wants to like put him on blast and be that kind of person, I just don't see the point in it. But I was staying with him, and yesterday he was sending me text message after text message after text message after text message. Like, there's like huge chunks of text messages that he was sending me where he would not leave me alone, knowing that I was at work, knowing I'd already told him I didn't want to have these conversations. I didn't want to talk about things. I wanted to be left alone. I was at work, like my actual job. And he's like, okay, well, then we'll talk about it later. And then a few minutes later, he would text me again. And I'm like, dude, just leave me alone. And then he would text me again. And it got to the point that last night he was telling me that I was stupid, that I was an idiot because I didn't have the same education as him, that like calling me a liar about things that I remember very specifically doing. Like when I was in second grade, like I was a friggin' math prodigy. Like I was doing algebra in second grade. I was memorizing books when I was 3 because I wanted people to think that I was reading them. And so I would sit there and I remember memorizing Green Eggs and Ham and like flipping the page and like trying to trick people into thinking that I could read because I thought like I should know how to, like I'm 3, I should know how to read. 3-year-olds don't typically read. But I was in second grade. I was going to Markham Park Elementary in Markham, Illinois. And I used to live up the hill from Markham Park Elementary. And I was chosen in second grade to go to a math competition for high school students. Me and this other kid, Carl. And we went there. I have my certificate from the Math Olympiad that I went to. And this guy sat here and told me, because he works with super smart, like Bill Gates level kids, that it's not possible for me to do algebra in second grade. There's kids who graduate from Harvard at like 10. Like, that's a thing that exists. And he's like, oh, so you mean to tell me that you knew all of this math and you were so good at math and whatever, and then you just lost it. And I'm like, yeah, I lost it. I damaged a lot of my brain from a lot of different drugs. And he told me that's just not possible. Like, people don't just forget things because of drugs. Cool. So my life and my experiences aren't valid because they're out of the norm from what he's experienced. So that's good to know. So I ended up having a panic attack last night after hours and hours of begging him to stop, begging him to leave me alone, begging him to stop using abusive language, stop calling me out of my name, stop talking down to me. Like, I was begging him, and I ended up panicking because I could not get him to leave me alone. And in that panic, I completely dissociated. I didn't even know up until I think like April or May of this year, I didn't even know what that was. And I remember talking to my therapist and telling her that there's times where I'll be driving and I don't know where I'm at and I don't know how I got there and I don't even remember where I'm going. And I'll like pull over and I'll start crying and panicking because I don't know what is going on anymore. Like, I don't know. And she asked me some questions about it and came to the conclusion that I dissociate a lot. Dissociation is kind of a hallmark of trauma, and it is something that people do to protect themselves, essentially. It's something that people do to like leave the situation. It's kind of like letting your body go on autopilot and kind of not necessarily like letting instincts take over or anything like that, but it's definitely I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain. But it's something that a lot of people who have experienced extreme trauma do. And like I said, I didn't know until like May or June, maybe April, or it was like way earlier this year. And I've been noticing more, like I've been trying to like stay involved with my brain, I guess. I don't know. Nothing I'm saying is making sense right now. I've been trying to stay as connected as I can so that when I do start to leave my brain, I can understand what's going on and can try to bring it back. But it doesn't always work. In like really extreme situations, it doesn't help. He's literally sitting here texting me right now. Like, I cannot escape this guy. Like, he will not leave me alone. Y'all, I don't know what to do anymore. Like, the only reason I came over here, the only reason I agreed to stay over here was because he said it's going to be a safe place for you to live. It's going to be calm, whatever. It's going to be fine. And that is not at all how it has been. I remember not yesterday, Sunday, but last Sunday, it was, let me see my calendar real fast. It was the 23rd, September 23rd. He was like getting up and getting him and his son ready for the day. And I guess his son was like having a bad morning or something. And so he was sitting there and he was yelling at his kid. And he was like, I'm going to hit you. Like, he straight up said to his kid, I'm going to hit you. And he doesn't believe that to be toxic behavior. He doesn't believe it to be abusive behavior. He doesn't believe that he's in the wrong. He's admitting to be like having these like selfish tendencies. He's admitted to being manipulative and coercing people into getting what he wants. But he doesn't find any of that to be toxic or abusive. Literally though. I just I don't even know what to do anymore. I cannot get away from this guy. Like, it's nonstop, constant harassment. And he'll sit there and he'll manipulate things and he'll say things to like get what he wants. And then he'll sit there and tell me that I'm crazy, that I'm wrong, that I'm stupid about my own life and about things I've experienced. Meanwhile, and this is the kicker, there's this girl that is completely obsessed with him, like to an unhealthy, like unsafe level. Like, this girl is obsessed, right? And he has been stringing her along for almost 2 years now, and told me the other day that that's his plan C. Like, she's the plan C, knowing that this girl is so obsessed with him, not in love with him, not in lust with him, nothing. She's like stalker level obsessed with him. And he keeps stringing her along because he likes the attention. That's what he told me. He keeps her in his back pocket because he likes the attention. That's the kind of person that we're dealing with here. That's the kind of narcissistic, disgusting behavior. And then he wonders why I had a panic attack, why I completely dissociated. And I understand that we, as individuals, we are responsible for ourselves. We are not responsible for the thoughts, feelings, actions of others. However, if you are consistently harassing someone, if you are consistently abusing someone, if you are intentionally doing things that you know are going to upset that person, that you know are going to get under their skin, you can't really be surprised when they get mad about it and they pop off, because you're sitting there antagonizing them. Like, okay, yeah, he can sit here and try to get under my skin, do whatever, and that's fine. But for me to be upset because of what he's doing, I'm not supposed to, because that's me being responsible for his actions. You see how backwards that logic is? Like, it looks like on the surface that it kind of makes sense, and it seems like it would kind of make sense. But when you start to actually think about it, it doesn't. And that was the other thing, was that he was trying to explain something to me last night or whatever, and I was like, it doesn't, like, nothing makes sense anymore, because especially with math, when I'm sitting there and I'm looking at math, like, the numbers will like flip backwards or like flip upside down, or I'll recognize the number but won't remember the name of the number, or I'll sit there and I'll know the name of the number but I can't, it's almost like I can't pronounce it anymore or something. It's very, very strange. And I sat there and was like, okay, I don't get it. Like, I just I don't comprehend it. And he's like, boo, you were so smart in math before. Drugs are bad, kids. Drugs are really bad. Okay, especially when you're sitting there and you're taking these pills thinking that they're going to make you better, and they don't. And I will be completely honest with you guys. First of all, my channel is not for kids. And if there are kids watching this, where's your mother? Last night, I took my normal nighttime mixture of pills, which is, I'll even show them to you guys. Okay. So my normal mixture, there's 4. Okay. So I take iron because I'm anemic. And then I take Benadryl and melatonin to sleep, because I don't know if you guys have ever had bipolar disorder, but when you're swinging, you don't sleep. Depression naps are nice, but never a guarantee. And then this is called low estrogen Phe, which is the lowest FDA approved estrogen-based version of birth control, because I was taking a different one and I was having a really bad reaction to it, and so they put me on this one, which I've been consistent with. I'm 4 pills left in this pack, and it's my first pack of 3, and the other 2 are up here. So there's 1, and then there's the other. So that's what I normally take every night. And the reason that I take it at night is because I get really sick with my iron pills. I get really, really nauseous when I take my iron pills. And so my doctor said, take them at night. And I already take pills to help me sleep at night. So I figured when I started the birth control that I would just add that on to the stuff that I'm already doing at night, and then problem solved. So last night I looked it up. And if you drink alcohol when you're on the pill, it somehow blocks how your liver processes the alcohol. And so it can make you more feel more drunk than you are. And then it won't work, your birth control won't work as well. It'll still work, but just it won't be as effective. But I don't take my birth control to control birth. I take my birth control to control a blood vessel in my uterus that has been bleeding internally for God only knows how long. And to be perfectly bluntly honest, I drank last night after taking all of these pills. And the reason I did that was I figured if I'm passed out, I won't have to hear him anymore. I won't have to listen to being called stupid. I won't have to listen to how my life isn't valid, how everything that I say is made up, how, and I sat there and I called my mom and had my mom confirm the Math Olympiad to him. And he's like, you and your family are just a bunch of liars. What does my mom have to gain from sitting here making things up about? That makes no sense. I just realized I went to sleep last night with chapstick in my hoodie and I don't know where it went. It's not this one. I have a literal bucket of lip balms and chapsticks. And this one was an EOS. Yeah, it's not in here. So that's where we're at in life. Good times. Really good times. I left messages with the Colorado Coalition for the Homeless and a program called PATH, which is supposedly housing and resource assistance for adults with mental illness. I have my therapist. Jeez. I'm a therapist, write a letter stating that I've been in treatment since February, and that I've been compliant with my treatment. So maybe taking that letter will help, like, somehow. I don't know. At this point, like, it's getting cold outside because it's October now. And let's see, I just want to look up, like, the weather for today. I didn't really sleep last night, which is why I'm, like, looking the way that I am. So today, it says it's supposed to get into the 70s, but right now it's 47 degrees outside. And it's supposed to be warmer later this week. Looks like the lowest that it's going to get is 30 degrees on Monday, next Monday. And I know going into fall and winter, like, Colorado is really strange. Like, 1 minute it can be like super summer, and the next minute it could be like super winter, and Colorado just doesn't care about your feelings, so it's really hard to, like, plan for your day. But I figure I can stay in my truck because at least I still have my vehicle. And then I can do laundry at the laundromat. And then I can shower at the gym because I'm pretty sure my gym membership still comes out every month. And then if I stay in my truck, I can still keep my job. And I'm figuring when it gets too cold, because it's just me now. Ishka, I got her back like last week. Ishka, I don't really have to worry about anymore because she died of pneumonia. So my kid is now in an urn. So it's just me, and I figure I can sleep at truck stops. I can sleep in, like, Walmart bathrooms. Pretty much wherever. I mean, it's really strange because obviously, like, being homeless, I don't think is ever in the plan for most people. I don't want to say all people because I don't know. There's some people who want to be managers of McDonald's. There's some people who want to be CEOs of Fortune 500 companies. And there may or may not on this planet be people who choose to be panhandlers. I can't speak for everyone, so I don't know. And I don't think it's that far-fetched when there are people who, you know, want to be in the sex industry. There are people who want to be, like, you know, porn stars, and there's people who want to be prostitutes and stuff like that. I don't think they fully understand, like, what all comes with it. But to sit here and say, oh, there's not a soul alive who would actually choose that, I can't speak for them. There's a really weird sense of, like, a very twisted sense of freedom that comes with being homeless. I can travel if I want. I can move to a different state. I can move to a different country. I can change my name. I can become a citizen of Canada. I can do pretty much whatever. I don't have anything holding me anywhere. My biggest, I don't want to say hang up because she wasn't, but my biggest concern in life was Ishka and making sure that she had everything that she could possibly need, everything she could possibly want. I did everything in my power to make sure that this kid had everything that she possibly could. And a lot of times when I was traveling, I felt awful because I felt like I was subjecting her to really negative things. Like when we were in Canada and we were sleeping at like roadside turnouts, like, yeah, she would still like be, you know, in her cage, and she would have her little blankets, and I would like make sure her water was hooked up and everything. If you're new here and you're like, but you said kid, she was a guinea pig. So please don't think that I had an actual child like in a cage in my car. But she was my, like, I can't have kids, so this is my kid. So we were sleeping at like the roadside turnouts in Canada, and I would feel bad because I would try to like bundle up with as much stuff as I could, and I would like put blankets and stuff, and I would sleep kind of sideways in my car, so my back was like against the door and my legs were going like across the center console and across the seat, and I would try to keep my legs like on her cage, and you know, try to like use my body heat to like try to keep her warm and try to like pile as much stuff on top of us as we could. And I felt awful because it was snowing. It was like -degrees outside, and I was trying to keep her warm and keep her taken care of, and always trying to make sure I had room for her, had food for her, and everything. Like, she was so important to me. And now this is all the space I need for her because this is all that's left of her. And I feel bad because I don't have to worry about her anymore. But knowing that I don't have to worry about her anymore is like, it's a weird sense of relief because I don't have to worry about keeping her warm and keeping her safe, and like, she's dead. So that part. I really, really, really don't want to stay in my car. I really don't. But I feel like at this point is all that I can do. I can go rearrange things so I can try to like stay organized in my car. But I really don't know how I'm going to be able to do it through winter. Like, I really don't know. And I know I'm being selfish. I know for a fact I'm being selfish, because if I would just suck it up and get over it and just go to a shelter or whatever, if I would just suck it up and quit my job and go like do whatever, like, I'd be fine. Like, I get that. But I'm trying so hard to keep my job that it's forced me into a very ironic form of homelessness, because having a job is supposed to pay for your rent. But when you don't make enough to pay for your rent, you have a job but nowhere to live. And because I have a job that doesn't pay enough for rent, that's where I'm at. I have a job and I have nowhere to live. So my store doesn't open until 10. But I think my boss is in today. So I'm going to call and talk to her and see what I can do. And then go from there. And just see, like, if she's aware that I'm, like, sleeping in the parking lot, maybe security won't be called and I won't have to worry about it. And, like, it'll be, like, kind of safe. It's not like a big security kind of thing. It's like one of those cars that, like, every once in a great while kind of patrols around. But for the most part, there's no security there, like in the parking lot. It's not like a mall. And I don't think there's any signs on the outside of the parking lot that say no overnight parking. I don't think I've seen anything anywhere that says no overnight parking. So I think the best thing for me to do right now, until I can figure out what to do, is stay in my truck. Because yeah, I could move 3 hours south to where my mom is and not have a job and lose my car. And they live in the middle of nowhere, so I'd have no transportation and no way to get to a job. And I'd basically lose everything by moving there. And then I would have to figure out how to get the rest of my stuff from Cheryl's house. So I don't know what to do, y'all. I really don't. The only logical thing that I can figure is to stay in my car. And I'm not saying this so that people, poor pity Jess. She sits here, she makes all these videos and complains about things and blah, blah, blah. But that's not it. It's more like one-sided talk therapy to try to like figure stuff out. I'm not saying things so that I can get some kind of pity or anything like that. But I'm saying these things because I just need to get them out, because I cannot keep holding on to all of this stress. It's legitimately killing me at this point. So I'm gonna go. I guess step one would be calling my boss. Which is funny because tomorrow we were supposed to have like the district manager and then I guess the regional manager or something like that, like 2 bosses for my boss were supposed to be in tomorrow. And that was supposed to be like a really big thing. And now I don't know if I'm even gonna have a job tomorrow because I don't have anywhere to stay. And I don't want people, even though I'm putting it on the internet for the world to see, I don't want people to know, like at work, how dire the situation actually is. And I especially don't want the bosses of my boss to find out that I'm homeless, because that's not helpful. That's just causing more of a problem. So, yeah. I don't know what's going to happen with this channel because I don't even know what's going to happen to me. I don't know where I'm sleeping tonight. I don't know where my next meal is coming from. I don't know. I don't have any answers. Like I said before, I wish I could pop on here and tell you guys this great story about how everything worked out. And I wish that I could tell you guys that, you know, things got better. Everyone's, oh, it gets better. Life gets better. Everything gets better. But I think for some people that are born into poverty and raised in poverty and all of that, it just becomes such an intertwined part of your life that you really can't escape it. And like my parents weren't brought up poor necessarily, but they weren't rich. It was the 70s when they were growing up. So things were kind of okay. My dad's side of the family, there was a lot of abuse. My mom's side of the family, she felt neglected a lot of the time because she was like a late in life baby. And they became parents. My dad became a parent when he was 16. My mom became a parent when she was 19. And they struggled to raise their kids. Like, they struggled hard to raise their kids. And I think a lot of the reason that I've always been stuck, always been poor, and I don't mean poor as in like, I can't go to Forever 21 and buy my new clothes. I mean poor like a lot of times we didn't have clothes that fit us and we just had to make do because we were getting clothes from like my cousins or handouts from people at church and things like that. Like, I think the choices that my parents made as teenagers to have kids as teenagers is a pretty significant reason as to my circumstances today. And I'm not saying I blame my poverty on my parents and their choices, but in a sense I kind of do, because they had no business raising kids and all 6 of us would have been better off put into foster care, adopted by aunts or uncles, cousins, anything, rather than being brought up in constant poverty. And I'm really, really struggling to figure out what my next steps are. And part of me kind of wishes I was like still in Alaska, because in Alaska, most places, I don't know if it's like a requirement, but most of the businesses that I went into had showers for their employees. So we could, you know, if you lived in like a dry cabin or something like that, you could just shower at work, which was really helpful. And I think that would make the situation easier, just having somewhere safe to like even just take a shower. I don't know. I don't recall seeing any laundromats up there. I'm sure they had laundromats up there. I just don't remember seeing any. And then I could have just kept working and living in my car. Dry cabins up there were like $500 a month though, so I'm sure at some point I would have been able to afford it, but rent in Colorado is stupid expensive. So yeah. I want to get out of this situation, but I don't know how. And at this point, I feel like I'm just talking in circles. Like there's not even a point anymore. So I'm going to go. I don't know. It's almost 8. I guess I could call my boss. Hopefully someone will be at the store. Store isn't open until 10, but I'm sure somebody's there. I really don't want to have to call in to quit my job though. Or I guess I don't have to say anything to anyone and just stay in my truck and just not tell anybody. I think that might actually be the best way to do it, is to just not tell anybody, because at that point nobody knows anything. So then they don't have to worry about it. There's like comments popping up and I can't see any of them. Yeah, the credit thing. I don't have good credit. And the thing is, like, I got my vehicle so I could build my credit. But then every time you go to look for an apartment, apply for an apartment, they check your credit. You try to apply for a credit card, it hits your credit. So you're constantly doing this ping pong back and forth of, I need credit, but my credit sucks. So let me apply for this thing that's going to make my credit suck more, especially if I get denied for this thing. Like, credit is so stupid. Like, it should. Who came up with credit? Because it shouldn't exist. Like, whoever came up with credit, you're fired. Your whole life is fired. You're canceled. Bye. You can make good money working for a grower. Actually, no. Growers, if you work in a dispensary, you're making minimum wage. Fact. Like, if you, any of the dispensaries that I've seen, like on Indeed, they're offering between like $10 and $11 an hour, which is minimum wage. So you're really not making, I know there's like a lot of money in that industry, but a lot of it's coming out of people's pockets going into the industry. They're not paying the way that you think. Also, if I was working in a dispensary or for a grower, whatever, I would lose my current job because they have like a 0 tolerance drug policy. I mean, maybe that's what I can do is just take naps in my car. I don't know. Like, Colorado is like, I feel like the more simple the shape of the state that you live, the harder it is to live in that state. Because Colorado is a straight up square, like it's a box. But it's like a black hole of a box, and you can't ever actually escape because it just sucks you right back in. See, I wanted to move to New York. I did. But I can't. I have family in Ohio. I have like cousins and an uncle and I think a non-biological aunt. I don't know. And I have family in Ohio. They talk about Circleville all the time. I don't know what significance that has, but apparently Circleville is someone's always going down. I even reached out to people on Facebook, just letting them know that I did become homeless. And I know it doesn't, oh, you can't be homeless. You're sitting in a home right now. Like, this is not my home. This is somebody else's home. I don't live here. I really do feel like I need to call my boss and then I need to speak to some kind of law enforcement about everything that's happened and just figure it out from there. Because verbal abuse is still abuse, emotional abuse is still abuse, mental abuse is still abuse. And I hate when people think that just because they're not punching you in the face, it's not abuse. Like, it still is. It might not be the form that you're used to, but it still is. I wish I had slept last night too, but I don't have time to sleep because I have to get my stuff together again. So, anyhow, I'm gonna go. I have so much I have to do and I cannot sit here anymore. So, yeah, I'll talk to y'all later.